Hello, I'm Marc Sumner, host of the Channel Chat podcast show, and today I have the privilege. I'm not actually in the studio today. I'm actually in Justin's office. I'm actually in CAE's office. Justin Harling, the CEO of CAE Technologies. How are we doing, Justin?
I'm great, although we're in the library, Mark.
Yes.
So
yeah,
no, it's not. We never treat it, like that. I'm absolutely great. I'm coming off the back of a kick-off event for us. So we closed our year. We have an event at the beginning of the year called Assemble, where we get everyone together and fire everyone up. So I'm fired up right now.
Do you know what? I was actually said this to Richard. I was amazed at how clean this office is after the potential carnage of 250 people yesterday. So, how do you turn it around that quickly? So it still looks immaculate. For the listeners that can't see the office, it's unbelievable, and it's just immaculately clean as well.
It's a pride everyone has in the office, actually.
Yeah.
That's always been that thing that everyone genuinely looks after it. They care about it, actually, which is wonderful to see. So nobody wants to see it get messy, so nobody leaves it messy. And that's one of those things. This is we describe this as home. This is home for CAE. It's that base. It's got that pull. It's got that feeling around it. So that's why, people have pride in it.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, Justin, when I normally start the show, I normally go through someone's background and I look at how they've started their career. And I looked at yours and I thought, okay, you've done Durham University history, but you started as an accountant.
I did.
So tell me back for that process. Why did you do your degree? Let's start there.
Because I enjoyed it, because I was passionate about it. It was just my favourite subject. It kind of as simple as that, really. I mean, that was the reason why. I then spent 2.5 years of that 3-year degree being asked by my parents, and what are you going to do with a history degree? I had no good answer for it for 2.5 years. I guess I still didn't have a good answer for it. Because it was just a passion, and that's what I didn't know what it was going to lead to. I hadn't thought about that at that point. I actually ended up going on in the summer between my second and third years. I thought I've got to start thinking about this. I went on a summer camp thing, actually with Ernst & Young at that point, just to get a taste of actually what's this about. A world of business. Something. I thought I've got to do something, and that's how that became about. I had at no point had I thought, yes, I want to be an accountant. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Does anyone want to be an accountant?
I'm glad you said that. No, but it was that thing. It was a great intro to business, and that's the feeling that I got from that. And that's what EY were able to sell at that point. Was that it's like, come and just see what it's about, and it was. I got to see so many different businesses doing that it was absolutely fascinating. But I had no idea. That it was a real shock, obviously, going from a history degree where, I was averaging probably 8 to 9 hours worth of lectures a week, at that point, to suddenly going into an accountancy space where you're working, doing a normal working day, having to study in the evenings, and for my first year, doing an exam every Saturday. It was a shock.
Do you know what? For the listeners who won't know this, my first job was for a firm of chartered accountants, which still amazes me how they even gave me the job. Because I don't know if you ever had this, but I had to go into when I worked for them, they did it by 15 minutes. So of course I couldn't go to the toilet. I couldn't. I didn't want to do any work at that point at all. But you'd had to allocate all these hours and these segments. So what attracted you to the job? Obviously, I know history was your passion, but you thought, could you see yourself as an accountant? Was that something you had planned?
No. It just was, and I realised, and I very much realised into that I didn't want to be an accountant, and it was really clear that working with people who did. Actually, working with a whole heap of people who really wanted to be an accountant, who could see that path, who wanted to be an audit manager, who wanted to be a partner, in an accountancy firm. You could see that in them. They were driven by that. It's what they wanted to do. I didn't. He said that thought actually got the timesheet bit. This real flash there. Absolutely hated that. Loved, as I said, being able to get the experience that gave, and that financial background and things like that has helped so much. Moving forward. But really stark. Then I realised I didn't want to be, and there were people who really did. So on that basis, I knew I had to look. I didn't finish my training.
Nor did I.
I didn't finish it because I thought you start to look forward to it and kind of go, well, that leads to that, which leads to that. That's not my path. So at that point, it was a case of, you know what, I need to look, I need to take this, and I need to see what's out there. What's different.
And your first break into the wonderful world of IT, or the IT channel, was for working with Mike Norris at Computer Centre.
It was.
So tell me, and again, a slightly obscure role, again, a business analyst. So was that something you were passionate about or interested in?
So it took a bit, and I joined Computer Centre in one of their graduate intakes, actually. So although I'd been in work then for a period of time, actually saw that, and it was a graduate intake piece. The bit that you never would have guessed with a history degree in accountancy or anything around that is I've always really loved technology. Actually, I grew in a house. I had computers at that point, as they sort of were Amstrad word processors, BBC micros at that point, ZX81s, all that kind of stuff. I'd had time on that. I'd spent lots and lots of time in and around that, and actually in the background, although I was doing a history degree, kept an interest in all that, but was still able to do that. So knew I had interest in the technology, didn't know that much about the industry, at that point, but there was an interesting kind of part there. And digging into Computer Centre, of course, they're a fantastic business.
Yeah, great business.
They're absolutely, were leading, the UK at that point in terms of what was going on. It was, it was a graduate scheme. There was a great program around it. The business analyst bit actually fit the accountancy, because it was sort of it had enough of that, but not too much. It was a nice balance actually to be able to use some of those skills, but actually in a more practical, in a more practical way. So yeah, it was a really great logical fit, that one.
And then, did you have aspirations of at that point thinking, do you know what, I could run my own reseller one day, or were you still? No, it wasn't. That didn't.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at that point. It was a fantastic business. There was clearly room to grow in it, and set out to be able to do that. So there was ambition, but I didn't know what it was at that point. Didn't know exactly where it was going to take me. But what a brilliant introduction into the channel. I mean, what a place to be able to work in at that time. As it was going through float and things like that. But what a time to be in that business. It was absolutely fantastic. But it also made me realise over a period of time that there was more again, that there was something else. I knew in that role I wanted to get closer to customers. It was it had introduced me to management, which was superb, which was great. But I knew there was wider to be able to do. I'd been introduced to so many different things, and it also allowed me to see some of the other stuff that was happening. It's like, there's more here that I could be, might be possible to be able to do. So it was a great start. But I realised that there was something else. Yeah,
because that's a great grounding for someone. Because when I meet you, Justin, if I speak to you, I think I can't see Justin as an analyst or an accountant. You're obviously very engaging. But did that give you a real good foundation to think, actually, I'd have the confidence to, with data or that background, to go and speak to customers? Because you obviously had the personality there already. Or did you not? Were you a nervous person in those days?
This might be something we cover a bit more. I'm a real introvert.
Really?
I am. If you look at every trait, if you look at all the testing, I am massively introverted. Actually, my core personality trait is introversion. I'm an extroverted introvert. There's that bit. But fundamentally, actually, I'm really introverted. So you're right. That data piece, that's a real anchor, actually.
Yeah.
Knowing at times that there was something I could, rely on there to be able to help to give that bit of confidence to start off with. Because believe it or not, as we're talking now, great, love that kind of scenario. I can still remember the process going on to the that Computer Centre graduate scheme, actually. And one of the things we did there was a group exercise, and that was the time. And I know my feedback afterwards was like, that's why I nearly didn't get that role. Was because of that group exercise, because for me that is not my natural environment to just be able to sit in that and take over and kind of do that piece. I find it really difficult to bring my passion out a lot of the times in those kinds of sort of situations. So that part of me, that data bit, that allows that bit to give me that bit of confidence that no, I know what I'm talking about here. Actually, I can have that. Then I can bring it out. Actually, that's a big part of who I am. Actually,
have you had to sort of practice that, Justin? Because funny enough, you said that. I won't tell you who told me this, but I got a bit of feedback before we came online. and they said, I said, how did the kickoff go yesterday? And they said, you know what, it was absolutely amazing. And this is a compliment to you. Said, Justin got up, no prompts, no decks, and spoke for an hour and a half. I was like, what do you mean spoke for? Just rolled it off the tongue completely. Had sort of like the presentation up, but there was no data, there was no for an hour and a half. I was like, 1 hour and a half. Now, if you'd have told your younger self that now, that the two things don't correlate, don't they? Because most people, if you'd have said speak in front of 250 people, I know they're your own employees, most people would be terrified at doing that without a script or some sort of prompt. So how would you go about doing that?
So when I talked about the introversion, but the extroverted introvert bit, that's my bit of extrovert. That's the one bit that comes out. So I was always really fortunate, kind of growing up, and so that part of it, that one bit of it, I've been doing since I was very young, right? That's, from reading Bible lessons in church to actually doing public speaking and kind of bits like that, all the way through my school life and things like that. That side of it, believe it or not, I just really enjoy. Give me that kind of room. Give me, God, this was like, give me that stage, as it were. Give me that kind of piece. I love being in that environment. I'm actually kind of really comfortable in that space.
Where's that come from?
I get passionate about things. I followed that, right? I will follow my passions. I'll kind of do. I'll actually do that. But I'm not afraid to allow my emotion to show and kind of bits like that. So having the opportunity to be able to do that, the thought of being able to inspire, is really motivates me in terms of kind of really. I love that bit, and people know this within the bit. People look at it and kind of go in the morning before I'm doing it, and they'll take a look at me and go, "You're really looking forward to this." Of course I am. I get to stand up in front of everybody and talk about something I'm really passionate about. Why wouldn't anybody want to do that?